fun-filled night ahead of us. We have our very own Dr. Orvar Jonsson, one of our cardiologists. And then we've also invited our Chef Dom with Chef Dominic Catering and Tom Slattery with JJ's Wine and Spirits, sorry. But we have a fun-filled night of just cooking and pairing some heart-healthy recipes with some great wines. So I am going to bring on Dr. Jonsson and Chef Dom.
Thanks, Lori.
Well, hello, everybody. Tom, come on in.
So, thanks for coming.
Hello, and these guys take the show.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, thank you all for joining us tonight, and appreciate having a couple of helpers tonight to help me out a little bit. The late guy here, so Tom, thank you for coming over, and
You guys
Tom.
need subtitles for us right now? I need subtitles for ours.
There are a lot of different accents going on tonight. So,
Yeah.
French one and Nordic.
All the rest of it. So if you have any
Thank you, Tom.
Just for 10 minutes. 336-0455.
So what are we cooking tonight?
So I'm going to do a steak chimichurri that you find a recipe. So what we're going to do, it takes about an hour to marinate. So we're going to do the marinade now, and then we'll go to the side, and then we'll go to the dessert, and then we'll finish with the steak. You ready for it?
Yes.
All right, let's do this. So we're going to do the mixture. You wear gloves before?
I have. Not cooking though, but
Yeah, I didn't want to touch protein. That's just my thing. So it's a very simple raw, really. Here's the recipe at home, so it's nice. See? So you have
garlic powder a la Chef Dominique.
yeah. Even though I really want garlic.
I know.
And then you have chili and then a little salt. So you want to mix it together. Actually, why don't you mix it together like this?
All of it.
Just do the whole thing. Yeah. Are you nervous?
No.
Should be. All right. Just, I don't know if you can see that.
1 second, I'm just gonna make sure that.
Can you hear me now? I mean, nobody understands what I'm saying most of the time anyways.
Doesn't matter.
Can you hear me now? Okay, good. They're all getting nervous behind. So we're gonna leave it like this. I like to leave it room temperature, just that way the flavor gets in a little bit better. And 1 hour is good because when you're gonna cook it, if the meat is more room temperature, it's gonna cook much better, much easier. So we got this guy going on. Do you want to do the chimichurri?
Sure.
All right. So we are going to put all those together. Do you want to cut the avocado?
I would love to.
You sure? You had no idea he was going to build that one. So basically what we have, some cilantro, some parsley, some chili. We have some lemon juice. Lemon juice is always good. Uh-oh, she's coming at me again. Did I do something wrong? No?
I'm going to distract you
Yeah, please have him talk.
for a couple of minutes while Dom's trying to fix his microphone. So I brought wines they sent me the recipes a little while ago for these, and I was trying to think what would be fun to do from a wine perspective with these kind of cool dishes and very unique types of things. Well, Dom's French, so we're doing French wine tonight. I couldn't find any
Icelandic wines.
Icelandic wine.
I got some, but it's stronger.
And go like that.
Yeah.
What I did research about what is made in Iceland, I didn't think would be appropriate for our food. So, but we are doing some French-inspired stuff. So I got 3 different viticultural areas that we're going to be talking about as we proceed through these. And yeah, so
Yeah.
anyway.
So I think now they can hear me, maybe. Hopefully. There you go. You want to squish them out. So we're going to do the avocado, and I know you have all the recipes, so I'm not going to go through and bore you with it. But you go, doctor. Have to be nice, sir. So we'll do lemon zest. You know, I personally had open house surgery 16 years ago. And I found out that cooking healthy was really easy and much more flavor. Salt is kind of the enemy, right?
Correct.
So I found out that lemon juice, orange juice, lemon zest, Lemongrass is really a friend. It's just phenomenal flavor. I think it's better than salt. It really brings up the flavor of most of everything. So doing that, we mix in it. And you see how to do it here, so you can see it a little bit better. So this I know we have to put in the fridge, guys, obviously. So we got that going. Somebody put it in.
In the fridge?
Yes, yes.
So like I said, I decided to bring wines from 3 different regions in France. So if you look at the geography of France when it comes to wine, but this particular region that we're to start with is Alsace, which is out north in France up towards Germany. So what they make in Alsace is German inspired or German influenced wine varietals. So Riesling, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Blanc, Spätburgunder, Pinot Noir. And the one that I decided to bring was actually my favorite from this particular winery called Trimbach, which is a Pinot Blanc. I love the minerality in it. I love the acidity, the acidic components on these German influenced French wines are really, really good for food pairing in particular. And they help to, as most of you know, or maybe you don't, which is why we're here, wine is great to have with your meal to help kind of with the digestive process and helps the nutrients kind of all work and absorb and everything kind of work together. So moderate consumption, obviously, but it is something to incorporate into a healthy diet if you're okay with alcohol, because there is alcohol in wine, which we will know as we proceed through this evening. So the Trimbach Pinot Blanc is the wine that we're going to be trying with this particular salad as we proceed through.
So you guys are going to be drinking what I'm cooking?
Yes.
Nice.
What they would do. All right, so we are going to do that zucchini Greek salad. And by the way, the name of all those recipes are way too long for me. I'm not from here, so you could have done a little bit easier on me.
Because I'm from here.
Well, no, I don't think so. Maybe you're from Iowa.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
It's a Minnesota accent that I have.
Is it really? Oh, I thought it was Northeast Iowa. So the Greek salad, it's very, very simple. So we're going to mix it together. When I say we, it's we.
Wow.
Bring it together. So we add some zucchini. You could do the Zudo zucchini. So you have a little machine that you make look like noodles. So you could buy that. That's pretty inexpensive. But you just mix it like that. So
Actually, we have a bunch of that in the freezer. We
you do.
got a little overgrown on the zucchini in the garden last summer.
You're freezing fresh vegetable. Wow.
Well, in September we did.
That's
Either that or throw it away. We had like 18 zucchinis on the counter here.
Well, you don't
Like
have
kids were sick and tired of grilled zucchini
you
this summer.
friends to give it away. Boy.
Seemed like everybody had a lot of zucchini.
So we mix it, and the thing is about food. Healthy food, any kind of food, it's got to be beautiful. It's got to be shiny, otherwise you're not going to want to eat it. So you got a really beautiful color there. So you got cucumber. So you mix that together. And maybe I'm an old-fashioned guy, but when I make a salad like this, I like to let it rest for like 30, 40 minutes. I don't want to serve it immediately because I think the flavor mix well together. Not want to mix it and let it sit for like a day, because then it'll be just no different flavor. But just let it see. Look how beautiful it is. It's just gorgeous. I'll let you put the seasoning.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Color matches really well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I was worried you're going to put the wine in it.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. So, by the way, I'm not drinking any wine.
Is that a disclaimer?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So again, I like to put a little bit of lemon juice. We'll steal it from the other recipe. That. Another thing you could add to this if you want is lemongrass. Lemongrass is so phenomenal. And, people are kind of scared because when you go to the grocery store, it's still big, long stock. You don't have to do that. Honestly, at home, I'm not going to go through that much. So I just buy the tube. It's fine. It lasts a long time. I know you're probably gonna think, oh my gosh, what kind of chef does that? But it's
That was I was thinking.
it's, you were thinking that?
Yeah.
You're not gonna be invited again. At your own house. But you know, it's a good thing. It's very flavorful. It really gives a kick to every recipe. It doesn't have to be just for fish. It could be great with lamb, chicken. I mean, you name it. So I always add a little bit of that stuff. It's not in the recipe, I know, but you know, this is kind of like a summary salad, really, and that goes well together. So we'll do that. And then basically you could just keep it very simple. We'll finish that dish right now. Could have some very thin sliced red onion as a, if you like that. Personally, I think red onion is a little too powerful for something this delicate, but that's his recipe.
So what onion would it choose over red onion?
I would not put any onions.
I see.
To me, onions should be cooked,
Okay.
but that's just me, you know.
Can agree with that one.
Feta,
Good. Yeah.
little feta cheese. Now, this is another thing. You could do, it doesn't have to be feta if you don't like feta. Just do a cheese that's very strong. So if you do a very, very strong cheese, you won't put so much. And therefore, you will not have so much fat, which is not good for your heart. And then my third thing in the whole world, olives. So you could get Kalamata olives, or you could do any other olives if you want, just like that. You know, the whole thing about cooking is, besides being fun, is color. If you have something that's very colorful, it's much more appetizing.
I agree.
You know, you can have the best dish in the world, but if it doesn't look good, nobody's going to get it. So that's a big deal right there. Tom, talk about wine.
Talk about. So flavor profile and Pinot Blanc. So this particular wine and why I thought it was going to work well with this is by working with this is like I said, you're getting the minerality and all of the different, I would say, sharper components of that particular Greek salad screams for a wine like this. But where this Pinot Blanc really succeeds is in its textural component. It's a very thick kind of mouth-filling wine that you wouldn't typically find in what we classify as a lighter style of white. But I love the tactile components in this, and I think that it's going to work really well with this particular with this Greek salad.
Well, maybe I should try.
From a flavor
I
enhancement
think so.
perspective. Well, fortunately, Dominic, I still have your glass here.
Oh,
Oh, that was a kid's glass, wasn't it?
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers. How do you say cheers? Nice little thing.
Skull. Like the Viking skull.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Same word.
Skull.
Skull means a bowl. It's a Viking.
Dr. Jonsson, can you tell us a little bit why it is so important to have a heart-healthy diet?
Well, because heart disease is the most common cause of death in the US, and heart healthy diet has been shown to reduce heart disease and actually survival, even just salt. I mean, there's been a lot of studies lately showing that people that eat less salt, they live longer. That's a pretty simple thing. If you just cut out your salt, you improve your longevity. Like I said, use lemon zest, orange, something else. There's a lot of things that can give a little bitter taste to the food. Kind of, even the fish, just squeeze a fresh lemon over the fish instead of pouring salt over it. So.
It's you know, because when you cook with salt, you have to put the salt before you cook it. So because you do that, you're gonna have to put a lot more on it. Because when you cook it, you're gonna lose some of the salt. So you have tendency to put so much more salt than you need to. For example, at home, I still use salt, but I will use, it's a British salt, I think it's called molten salt. And I'll cook my steak, you know, I'll put a little bit of lemon juice, then I'll put a little bit of that salt. It's big grain salt. And I guarantee I'll probably put 80% less salt than I would if I would cook it with it. And the flavor is there too. So, you know, so it's not like you have no salt at all, but just a little bit on lemon juice is great. Lemon really brings the flavor a lot. You know, if you ever do seafood, nutmeg, you sprinkle a little nutmeg.
Never tried
It
that.
actually brings the flavor too. So there's a lot of cool little trick. It's not, you know, extraordinarily difficult to do that. Everybody has nutmeg. I mean, if you cook. Anyway, so we're gonna start slowly the dessert. So what are we gonna do? What's the name of the dessert, doctor?
Now you're gonna challenge me here with the. That's a long name again.
No idea. You take those recipe and
Broiled glazed pizzas stuffed with blueberry compote and cream cheese.
that's an easy one, wasn't it? Next time, can we just call it boiled peach? So we can have peaches. We have blueberries. So what we're doing at the beginning, we'll take those blueberry just like that, and we're gonna put it on the stove, and you're in charge of it. So you're gonna have to cook it a little bit. They're gonna pop. So don't burn it, because that's all we have.
Oh, really?
So don't kill it. That's probably not a funny thing to say.
I can run to the store if we need to.
Really? So we're gonna have some sugar. It's the fake sugar, as we talked about it before. We have cream cheese. We're gonna have pistachio, mint. That's not on the recipe, but it's another thing. Mint, fresh mint will just pop the flavor. It will just make it so much more flavorful.
I have a question.
Yes,
This may be a question for Dr. Jonsson. So we are using a sugar substitute for this?
yes, he is.
Is a sugar substitute necessary for a heart healthy diet, or can you use actual sugar?
I think you probably can use some
Like-
sugar. It's just, I think you just want to do things in moderation. I mean,
Right.
So-
Right.
I never use substitute for my cooking, but
You don't? Oh, good.
I do drink,
Are you a Diet Coke or regular Coke?
I drink Diet Coke. Not a lot though. I drink more water actually.
See, I'm doing regular Coke because it's too late at this point for me. So,
I've heard people talk about, and
Yeah.
this is in my world, as far as adult beverage and, just sugar substitutes and how they work with the hypoglycemic effect, and that sometimes sugar substitutes have kind of the adverse effect that you think they would on your metabolism because of flavor, and then it goes to the flavor. So I guess what I'm curious about is from your perspective, because I'm a natural
Yep.
sugar guy. I don't use any sugar substitutes.
I am.
Like with
I am too for the most part, especially in cooking. But there is some point you were saying. I think sometimes because sugar also has energy, and
Right.
people trying to lose weight, so they drink diets off and stuff like that, and then maybe you just eat more because
Right.
so I don't know, but I think they're probably both okay. But I would just say do things in moderation.
and I think that's the thing in life. It's all about moderation. We were talking about French people don't die from a heart attack, even though they eat very well. But the thing is, they eat in moderation. And it's something I don't do. I don't like. So,
Tom, we have a question.
yes.
So Tom, sorry,
Yes.
I know we got Tom and Dom, but Tom, do the stemless wine glasses alter the taste of the wine?
Okay, so I'm going to get nerdy here for about 30 seconds. So when you take a glass, you hold on to it like this, there's heat in your hand because your body is, a specific temperature. Don't zoom in too far there. So you're obviously transferring heat
Malone,
from your hand into
Not
the
burning.
glass with the stemless wine glass.
still I'm popping.
And so, yes, by virtue of that fact, because you're changing the temperature of the wine, you are going to alter its flavor and how you perceive it, because temperature is one of the most important things in tasting wine, because if you don't drink a wine at the right temperature, you're going to either enjoy it less or enjoy it more, depending on what you like. So does it change it? Yes. Does it change it for the better? That's entirely up to you. Does it change it for the worse? Again, it's entirely up to you and how you like to drink it. I would say that if you're going to drink wine like this, in my opinion, throw a couple of ice cubes in it, because you're going to want to make it a little bit colder, because it's not going to be as cold as you would like to drink it if you like to drink it cold. Or move your hand down here and avoid holding onto the bowl and get yourself a glass that has a stem on it, because then you're not going to have to worry about that heat transfer. So I wouldn't overthink it by any stretch of the imagination. We sell all kinds of stemware, stem and stemless. But when you get into the nuts and bolts of it, yes, altering the temperature is going to change how you taste a wine or any other adult beverage, or any other beverage for that matter, if you're transferring heat from your hand into the glass. Answer the question?
Or you could just drink real fast. And then
Or you could just drink that. Well,
That was your line?
to say that. I'm
Sorry.
sorry. Or you could just drink real fast like Dom does, and then you don't have to worry about it.
How are you doing back there?
Coming along.
All right, good. Keep it up. So I cut the peaches in half. Then I cut the bottom a little bit so they don't slide around. We're going to glaze those guys in a little bit. He is doing the compote that he came up with. And he's having a hard time, by the way. I just can't tell you that right now. How you doing?
You're just impatient.
Yeah, I'm very impatient. That's true. So asparagus, we're going to talk about the main meat. Asparagus. So it goes for grill. And I was studying those guys. We grill asparagus all the time in my business, but we don't grill it straight raw. What we like to do is drop it in boiling water for a couple, like a minute. So by the way, it keeps it by that, it keeps all the vitamin. You got vitamin K, C, E, iron, all that stuff in. It keeps it in it, and the color is so much prettier. Again, you've got to eat food that looks good. Otherwise, you're not going to eat it. So we have boiling water out there. What are you doing?
Good.
Good.
Ready?
Oh, good. He's doing good there. All right, bring it up. So we'll come back to the asparagus in a minute. So to this, come on, don't be afraid. So we're gonna have the rest of the blueberries. We're gonna have the sugar. That's not real sugar. Can we call it
A lot of it. Yeah.
fake sugar? Well, that's your recipe. So we'll add a little bit of cream cheese to it. So cream cheese is okay?
In moderation.
Moderation.
All right.
That wasn't a lot.
That was definitely a very small moderation. A little bit of lemon juice, like that. You're doing good. You sure you don't want to be a chef?
I might think about it.
Okay, good. Just not in my kitchen. So the glaze we're gonna make, so it's again, that sugar, a little bit of cornstarch, so we're gonna mix it together like this. Your wife is cleaning the kitchen, right? Afterwards.
I hope so.
Okay, good, because I don't do that, just so you know. Tom, do you like to clean kitchen for us?
I love cleaning kitchens.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna make the little glaze.
Not
like
this
that.
though.
So, as you can tell, we're having no fun whatsoever.
I'm just enjoying watching.
So we're making the glaze, he's doing that. Let's put it back on the stove for a few seconds. Okay, we're gonna put the asparagus in the boiling water. And you guys can see that. It's gonna be very quick. Here you go. Like I said again, it's just, it's gonna cook better, more flavor, by far more flavor. Not even close.
You're gonna braise it and then grill it,
No, we drop them in hot water
right?
for like a minute and a half. So it will keep the nice green color. It will keep much more vitamin in it. And then we'll put it on the flat. So it's very simple. We are gonna do now, let's get the Greek noodle salad. What did you do with it?
What?
The Greek salad that you came up with.
Oh, I put it in the fridge. Like you asked me to.
It is so hard to get good help those days. I
Oh, this?
tell you what. Yeah, no, the salad.
It's over there.
Oh, you put it there.
Oh, I put it there? Boy. So now it's been sitting around a little bit for a while. We're gonna do the mixture of,
I think you're trying to make me burn this by sending me out on different excursions.
well, okay, don't, we trust you, you're a doctor. So we're gonna do red wine vinegar on olive oil. Now, do you like olive oil or just regular saddle?
We always use olive oil.
Okay, I'll tell you a little secret. After my open heart surgery, I was definitely all about getting healthy. Here's the mixer. You just go like that.
Should I take the asparagus out of the water?
Yeah. Hold on. You're a little bit pushy now.
I don't want to overcook
I'm
it.
going to be working for you pretty soon. So, like that. Shut.
Send this
for
off.
me. Here you go. So, you could put in cold water, but we're just going to put on the flat top. Right? Anyway, olive oil. I was at a grocery store in town, not to name Ivy, but I was there, and there was olive oil, and there was light olive oil and regular olive. So, which one would you buy?
It's a regular one.
Well, no,
What is a light olive oil?
light in color.
Oh, I see.
$2 extra for half a gallon.
So it's more filtered.
It was light in color, nothing better. So just, sometimes those wording, it's kind of not really honest. So, but olive oil is better. We both agree with that. Perfect. So we are going to put a little bit of oil there. Going to start cooking asparagus.
Oh,
Like that. And we're gonna do the steak. You wanna do it?
Yeah.
I got it. Now, don't drop it on the floor. Here you go. So it's gonna cook like 4 minutes on this side, nice and easy. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this out of the way. So you can see better. There you go. So now the peach. So while it's cooking, we are gonna make desserts. So again, cornstarch, a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of sugar, the fake sugar again. What I'm doing is because obviously February peaches are not the most, say, ripe. So I'm going to do a little bit different. I'm going to do it this way. And you could scoot out a little bit if you want. So you put more blueberry on top, but I kind of like it's more earthy like that. So there you go. Tom, have you talked about desserts yet?
Have I talked about dessert?
Yeah. What do we have for wine?
We did. Well, you know, this one was a little bit more of a challenge for me because when I looked at the recipes, I wasn't sure if it was a dessert or if it was just another course, like an appetizer, just like a sweet appetizer.
He's from Iceland. So
I get it. But so for me, it was a little bit of a challenge. So what I try to do with pairing wines in particular is I try to pair components.
Yep.
So with this one, you know, you would typically see with peaches, you would typically see a white wine. And we were talking about this earlier. And honestly, the Pinot Blanc that we have would go really good with peaches because there's a lot of peach flavor in it. But when you add that blueberry component to it, that blueberry compote, it really kind of screams to me red wine. So I kind of compromised a little bit and I went with the Burgundy. So we're sticking with the French theme. As we continue to go south, you know, now we're in Burgundy and we're in the Côte de Nuit region where
that's where I'm from, by the way.
that's where he's from France.
Keep talking.
Yeah. So Côte de Nuit region, there's a little microclimate called Marsanais where they make some of the most phenomenal Pinot Noir in the world. And so what I brought was the Louis Jadot Marsanais. This is the 2019 vintage, relatively young. But I thought in go tasting through the wines earlier, as I'm looking at what these guys are preparing for you and what they're doing back here, this is going to work really well. You wouldn't typically see red wine as a dessert wine or as a wine to pair with a dessert, but this is going to work really nice because it's going to kind of cut some of that sweet that's going to come through with the different flavors that they're putting together with the dessert. So Marsanais from Côte de Nuit region in Burgundy, France. Where are you from?
Well, it's a small town called Orvar, but I'm 30 minutes away from Burgundy.
Right.
And so
We've talked about it.
Yeah.
So Dominic and I have known each other for almost like 20 years.
yeah,
And so we used to work together at Theo's restaurant. And it seems like yesterday, but it was a very long time ago. And
why don't you make me feel a bit older?
I'm sorry, making
I
myself
can walk
feel
away.
old.
I'm
I'm
done.
kind of
That's
getting
it.
emotional and sappy here.
Oh, you poor little baby.
So anyway, so we've continued our relationship, so to speak, in our own respective careers with Dom and his team with Chef Dominique's Catering and what we've been doing with JJ's and combining together in a lot of different scenarios, doing servicing events and what have you. And we have a lot of fun together. Oh, well, yeah, not always. So
I have to.
as long as he's not there, it's fun, I should say. So
Look
it's
at
always good when you see Dom not dressed in his white coat because that means he's just there to drop stuff off and then get out.
This guy rocks. I mean, Icelandic restaurant, we come. So I don't know if can you see it well? Yeah. So the asparagus, you can see it is still stay very green. I should have done more asparagus your way. So they'd be really like some dull and boring.
I do it the same way.
Okay. Oh, now you say you do it that way.
Atlantic, French, region,
Yeah. So you see by putting the water first, they keep the green really, really nice. So that works really, really good. The steak is cooking slow. Perfect. Now I'm gonna go get the peach. see how this oven,
So Dr. Jonsson, while Chef Dom is getting that out of the oven, can you talk to people about, what are some really other heart healthy things or healthy lifestyle tips that you can give people? As we know, heart disease is the number one killer. So what are things that people can do outside of having that heart healthy diet that people
Well, I think in general, yeah, diet and kind of healthy habits like exercising regular basis that is reduce risk of heart disease and strokes, any kind of vascular disease. Like the Heart Association recommends about 30 to 40 minutes a day. Probably usually say 4 or 5 days a week. You can do that. That'd be great. But and keeping your weight down, go overboard there.
really, you have to sit up right
Sorry.
Really? Let me get out of the.
Well, you got to open a
Let
surgery.
me get out the shot, and then you can talk about it. Go ahead. Don't worry about Bill Philly.
Yeah. So I feel like kind of under pressure here a little bit.
Nobody trusts the skinny shop down.
What are some other preventative things that people can do when they're just watching out for their overall health?
Well, when you get into the age when you're at risk of heart disease, we do recommend heart screening. People go in for about a half an hour appointment to get a simple things like cholesterol check, blood pressure check, EKG, and especially CAT scan where you check for calcium in the heart arteries, called calcium score. There's a very strong relation. So if you have calcium building up in your heart arteries, that means you have cholesterol plaques building up. So we can detect disease before we detect early disease, so before it becomes a problem. If you have things like that going on, you can definitely be more aggressive with your risk factors and prevent you from having disease, or at least delay having disease like heart disease. So we strongly recommend that anybody over the age of 40 should have a heart screen, we recommend. And it's only $50 usually, or I think now this one is like $25 even. So
And
pretty
currently
cheap
for-
compared to when anything else happens in the hospital. So.
Yep, and currently for Heart Month, we are running that $25 heart screening, which you can call and just schedule at our.
I think this is ready,
Screening
Company.
at 605
You said so, Chef?
312.
How do you like it, medium rare?
150.
Yeah.
Something
No.
burning or?
No, it's
Oh.
not burning. I don't know if you're ever going to be invited to this again.
Here?
It's your house. Yeah, yeah.
You wanna
So,
check with this? What do you think? Still raw?
yeah.
Ready?
You stick with a hot, I'll stick with the meat.
Well, I like it bloody, you know.
You do? No?
When I see blood, that's a good thing.
It's rare. Well, okay, meat.
Yeah.
I know well done is not healthy. What's the best temperature that's healthy for you?
I don't think it's really a health issue. I think there's some, so there is a study showing like if you grill or burn meat, for example, there is risk of like stomach cancer and cancers more so than anything else. With something with the burning and the chemicals that form it when you burn things. So otherwise, I don't know if it makes a difference if you eat raw food or fully cooked food. I'm not aware of that. You? What do you know?
Do I? Well, yeah. If we didn't cook food, I would not have a job.
Mm.
So it's a good thing. But I mean, to me, I'm okay with medium well.
Well, also, if you overcook food, you wouldn't have a job either. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, for food, I don't think rare is a good idea for meat, just because meat is not safe in a lot of ways. But I think medium rare to medium well, I think you get all the flavor, you get still all the goodness without, that cancer from burning of the cooking stuff. So the peach, here we are. Can you see them? No. So we're just going to do one little guy like that. I know it's a little backwards, but technically, it takes a longer to cook the steak. And I don't know time-wise. Are we doing good time-wise?
We are doing good.
Okay, good. All right, doctor, get you blueberry concoction.
Okay.
It's good.
Yeah, good.
It's kind of fun to have a doctor do things for me. And I don't have to pay him. So
Well, let's wait.
Huh?
Let's wait for the
It
bill.
actually smells pretty good. So we'll just do that. You can put some frozen yogurt if you want. So, oh, And you know, the nice thing about this dish, you can, I don't know if you can see it very well. You could have everything pre-made. I mean, the peach, you could cut them in half and glaze them like the morning of. That compote, you can definitely do it for days ahead of the game. I'm just warming up just before you want to do that. So that's a very, you know, recipe should be easy. If it's too complicated, you're not going to do it. That's just the way it goes. So
I
yeah,
have the same
it's
role
easy.
of making cocktails.
There you
When
go.
I try, let's say it's not, I'm not, if you make it too
I know,
complicated,
it's
then you lose.
too many ingredients, you just,
You lose the distinct, you know, characteristic that each component of that you're making is bringing to the table. You know, so I always instruct my bartenders that, you know, when we're creating a cocktail in our bar, say keep it to 3 ingredients or less at most, you know, plus your garnishes and that kind of stuff. But the reason being is that you want to showcase and you want to showcase the ingredients that are going into it. You can't do that if you complicate it and make too many. So
Keep it simple.
keep it simple.
That's the thing about
Absolutely.
food. You want to keep it simple. So, all right. So, how are we doing now? Did you? You did? Okay.
So, Chef, the type of steak we're cooking is a flank steak tonight. Are there
Yes.
other substitute that are different? Can you use any?
Yeah, you can. I mean, you know, obviously you don't want something that's like a ribeye because there's too much fat. So you want a lean piece of meat. Flank steak to me is really a go-to if you want. You know, it's not super expensive. It's kind of hard to really mess it up. And, you know, it's easy to cook and it's got still a lot of flavor. It's got a little marble, which you want. So it's a good piece of meat that, you know, I think what happened is when people start diets of any kind, they go so far overboard and they literally set themselves for failure. You know, you can't be too stringent about it, too boring. So yeah, you can buy some meat, round steak, for example. That's what the recipe called for. It's boring. I'm sorry. You're not gonna be craving. The whole thing about food is you should crave for it after you had it.
I think it's ready.
You ready? Okay.
I think so. You want to check it out?
Yeah, sure. You're in charge.
I think you want to check it out.
No, that's okay. See what I have to deal with? Yeah, it's pretty. Probably not, but bring it over. So, you know, you want to have your food that's not over exaggerated in, you know, trying to get rid of all the fat, stuff like that. I think you start with a flank steak, or maybe in 2-3 months, then you could go for a top warm or something like that, if that's what you choose. But, you know, if you're cooking for yourself and your family is not, you know, over 40 and overweight, talking about you, it's, you know, they're not gonna enjoy it. So you got to start like that, something that is in the middle of the road. Flank steak has very little marble, very little, but a lot more flavor. On marbling, I should say what it is in case you don't know. Marbling is fat that's in between the fiber of your beef, and as you cook it and as you age it, it's going to break down. So that piece of meat has very little marble, but enough that's going to be flavorful, and it's going to tender.
So what you're saying is that from now on, I don't have to refer to myself as fat. I can refer to myself as well marble.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. So you have the asparagus, and then, okay, one quick thing before I forget. Beef has grain. So if you look at it, I don't know if you can see, but the grain is going this way. So you always want to slice your beef against the grain, because if you do it with the grain, it's going to be very chewy. So same thing, you know, top sirloin. This is definitely, I don't know if you can really see well on the camera, but you really can see the grain. It's pretty much hard not to. If you screw up, you're really a blind person. So, and then you just slice it. So what I like to do, I think we got plenty of time. You take your meat, you cook it about an hour after you took it out of the fridge. That way it's not going to shrink so much and it's going to be more relaxed. And then when you pull your meat out of the grill, the stove, whatever, let it rest. You could put foil on it. I don't like foil. I think it's unhealthy. I have a big problem with metal foil over hot food. How do you feel about that? You don't feel like anything good?
No
Thank you.
comments.
I would ask why.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because the, Ford, they, when you put in heat, there is very small amount of fume coming out. And in Germany, they say there's a relation of people eating with a lot of Ford or cooking stuff in the Ford, like put potato and put in the grill. And they say there's there's thing about people getting cancer and Parkinson and Alzheimer. That's what they say in Germany, and I'm not German. But so I don't like.
I'm surprised you picked up from German.
Well, I know, you know what, the
friends
best
would like
why,
German.
so I should probably think, they know what they're doing. So anyway, so we'll let it rest for like 20, 30 minutes. And that's it on my side. So you got the salad that is nice and shiny and tasty. You got the peach. Can't we just call it peach cobbler? Even though it's really not,
Is that like a cake or?
Yeah, And then you got your grilled asparagus and you beef.
You're not gonna cut it and see how it's steak, how it's cooked?
Remember, we just talked about it.
We
We're
have
gonna
to
wait
let it
20
rest.
minutes to let it rest.
And then it's gonna keep cooking.
Are you a little impatient? Drink more wine.
I have
Any
more
questions?
One of the questions that we had was, out of this, the menu items that we cooked tonight, are they
Everything is okay. The beef is gluten free. The salad is gluten free.
But
And
nothing
dessert
gluten.
is also gluten free, unless the little
Philadelphia cream cheese?
thank you so much. It might not be gluten free. There's nothing on that, so I don't know. But everything else is gluten free.
wine made
Yeah.
from grapes, also gluten-free.
Always.
Well, there's some people who think that certain components of winemaking, such as filtration and fining and that kind of stuff, are components that are not classified as gluten-free. So, but wine itself and the way that it's made, because it is grapes, yeast, water, moisture, everything is legitimately gluten-free. But obviously we can't say that because there are things in the process that negate that. But
My life just got so complicated.
sorry.
It's a good thing I'm not gluten-free person.
But it's kind of like, there's one of the big things in my industry right now is healthier adult beverage products. So whether it's, fit vine wine or whether it's, lower sulfite or sulfite free or all these other things, every time I see something show up in a branding on a label, my first immediate reaction is, oh, the marketing people have been working overtime. Because honestly, in my opinion, that's really all it is, because wine is a simple thing to make. And in doing so, you're utilizing a natural product that was grown in the earth, and anything that you add to it is going to take away from it. So people who are making good wine, particularly from our friends in France, people who are making good wine, they're making it the right way, which is letting nature do its thing, letting, Mother Nature and moisture and all that stuff work naturally in order to give you a product that you want and that is going to be enjoyable, but is also going to, be, I'm hesitant and always hesitant to use the word healthy when it comes to drinking alcohol, but, in moderation, again, everything is alcohol. I think that drinking wine or having a cocktail along with a meal is important for the digestive system, because it helps kind of, break everything down and get all the nutrients that you need. That's my opinion. Not everybody can do that. So with wine in particular, there are just so many different things in it that don't need to be added to it. So there's no point in doing that. So any kind of marketing that says sulfite free or low sulfite or organic or biodynamic, they're all techniques. They're all methods of making. They're all methods of creating that somebody somewhere, most usually in a boardroom, has developed in order to sell a product. And not that I'm taking anything away from the people who like their natural farmed wines or like the dry farmed wines or like the wines or prefer to purchase the wines that say organic on the label. They are trusting that product is going to provide them what it is that they're looking for. What is it? It's different to each and every person. What I'm looking for is something that tastes good. So if I want something that's healthy, if I want something that's made right, I'm going to lean in towards the winemaking regions that are doing it the right way: France, Italy, Spain, European winemaking regions, and
I'm talking about Iceland, by the way.
Sorry, we can drink some of that.
Grapes
later.
don't grow very well in Iceland.
Yeah, but not to take away from our friends in California, Oregon, Washington, because they are producing some really, really good products. They're just different. And in order to, to utilize the terroir to its fullest extent, sometimes in California in particular, they have to add sulfur dioxide into the process in order to stabilize. They have, in order to create those longer maceration periods, in order to get those big, thick, inky style wines that people are really enjoying drinking right now. There is a process to that, and some of those processes are making those wines less desirable for people who are looking for something that would be classified as more healthy. So I always suggest people stick with the European ones if you're looking for truly healthy wines that don't have any additives. But I get in trouble for saying that, because I have a lot of friends who own wineries in California, and they're saying, no, we're making wines the right way too. It's like, well, yeah, you are. You're just making them differently, So it's.
But I think a lot of wineries, though, in California, especially the smaller ones, they pride themselves is not adding on. And there are some of the bigger wineries that have bigger selling wineries in California that add things to make it more for the palate, but especially the smaller wineries.
Yep. And again, it's all about scale of production. So
yep.
When you think about, let's talk about a wine with a kangaroo on the label that comes over from Australia. We won't mention the brand because they didn't pay us. So that has to go from Australia over to the United States in large, big, shipping containers. Well, if you don't stabilize that properly by adding a lot of preservatives to it, it's probably going to lose whatever it is. It's going to become something that you don't want to sell once it hits the shelves, because it's made in large production. It's made in large quantities. When you're talking about wines in, some of the finer wineries, like my friends at Jessup Cellars, who are, some physicians that we know here in town, they make some phenomenal wines. They make them the right way. They're making smaller batches so they can micromanage each individual barrel or each individual fermentation to make sure it's doing exactly what it is that they expect it to do. So when I talk about California wines and some of the ones that are maybe doing, utilizing questionable techniques, it is the large macro production wineries. It's not the small guys like the ones that we enjoy.
But you can also say, there's no problem saying that is talk about health and wine at the same time, because it's actually recommended by the Heart Association to drink a glass of wine a day. Yeah. So, wine, probably alcohol in general, but more so wine. There's been multiple studies showing that it does reduce risk of heart attacks and strokes, any kind of vascular disease, as long as, again, keep it in moderation. If you overdo it, so for men, it's recommended like 2 glasses a day, women 1 glass a day. But if you overdo it, yeah, if you overdo it, then you don't really hurt your heart, but you hurt your liver more so than anything else.
And then there's the metabolic effect. Is the other thing that I've read is it slows your metabolism down, which you aren't burning fat.
There's a lot of carbs in it too. Calories.
Calories and carb, everything.
I just want to say those two are giving me a headache. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Something I think that people really talk about too is, we've all been going through a pandemic the last couple of years. So we've been
COVID-19.
We've been eating differently. We've been, sometimes I think we've been neglecting our health in a sense. What are some ways that we can bring that back? Like encouraging people to what is the importance of making sure you're following up with your doctors, whether it's a specialty provider or it's your primary care and those types of things. What is the key importance of really staying on top of your health in regards to, like I said, those types of things? Like I said, with what we've all been going through, I think it had these same trends.
I think we've been going through a pandemic, and there's a term now like COVID fat or COVID pounds.
COVID-19.
Yeah. But at the same time, and that's, I think, our own excuse. Even though they have a pandemic, you can still go out for a walk, or you don't have to eat unhealthy because of a pandemic.
So, when you talk about
I'm just talking it. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. So, yeah. So, but there's no need not to go visit your physician. You should do that as recommended, like go for annual physical once a year. And I think very few people actually catch COVID going to the doctor. I think it's more often going to the grocery store or meeting other people, going to the bars and things like that, rather than going to the physician's office that gives you COVID, I think. So I wouldn't worry about that.
In my experience, and what we've learned, just watching from our forward-facing industry that we're in, and seeing people's behavior over the last 2 years, is that there was a period of time right at the beginning of this where people were eating and drinking literally everything they get their hands on because that's how they were coping with it. And then at one point in time, about halfway through the year of 2020, people started to realize, oh no, I need to do differently. And we started to see more people coming to us, asking our advice, hey, what wine is going to go good with? I saw more people cooking at home. I saw more people learning how to cook for themselves. My wife and I did it. We took a couple of weeks hiatus after we ran crazy from, end of March through the end of May, just trying to figure out how we were going to deal with this stuff from a business perspective. And at one point in time, we decided, we need to take a break from this. So we took a break and we found a diet that was interesting to us that forced us to cook. We lived on basically a vegetarian or a vegan menu for about 3 weeks straight. And then we started adding things back that we enjoyed. Like I love red meat. So I started adding red meat back into it. I ended up over the course of 6 months losing about 30 pounds. I gained the COVID-19 back. Shut up. But no, I did.
This is definitely fake news right here.
It was kind of a prelude to my 50th birthday back in 2020 because everybody wants to look good when they hit those monumental birthdays. So I did this with that in mind, but it was also for us together because we both needed a way to kind of reset our lifestyles a little bit and learn a little bit more. We learned different things about cooking, which I was able to take that back to our customers and share those experiences with them when people were coming in and asking at that point in time for advice on what can I do. I need a bottle of wine because I'm going to cook this. I'm going to cook this. I saw a ton of people learning how to cook that 3 or 4 months afterwards because they started to realize this is going to go on for a little bit longer. Let's figure out how to live differently. So it was pretty cool. It was really enlightening to see so many people kind of lean in towards figuring out their own lifestyle changes at that point in time, rather than just freaking out over the pandemic. And then it just got old again a year later. And everybody kind of went back to drinking again. So it's cyclical.
Everything was really positive until you start talking about COVID-19. Could we do one TV show without COVID-19?
It's on everybody's mind. But as we're winding down here, we just have a few minutes left. If anybody has any questions for Tom or Chef Dom or Dr. Jonsson, now would be the time to ask them. Just kind of go over a couple other, I'm just going to bring back our screening. If anybody is interested in screening, we are doing those for $25. And again, I know the number is in the chat box, but you can call our Sanford Center for screening at 605-312-2150. We really always emphasize that we want people to be proactive versus reactive. And so that's why we really want to stay on top of our heart health. Well, how's it tasting, boys?
Amazing.
Very good.
So I should talk about the last wine.
Yeah.
Sticking with the French theme, we went over a little bit to the west, I'm sorry, Dom, your glass is right here, to the region of Bordeaux.
You could mix it together. It's the same to me.
I know.
I'm not a wine snob.
Weirdest French guy you're ever going to meet. Anyway, so Saint-Emilion is the region where this one in particular comes from. It's the left bank of Bordeaux. Primarily Merlot is what this grape is. And I love the textural component to this. Very soft. Lots of really dark berry in it, and pairing with this cut of meat is I'm not gonna say that I hit a home run with this, but I think
It's very good.
the food.
This is very good. And you know what? Yeah. Saint-Emilion, I've been to Bordeaux, and Saint-Emilion is absolutely the most darling little town. It's a big village, small town. It's one of those things you think you're in Hollywood because it's picture perfect. It's just cobblestone street. It's really a beautiful place. So, one thing is when you cut your meat, always slice it. Don't give a big chunk to people. Slice it really thin, because when you slice it really thin and people cut into it, it's going to be much more tender and much more durable. I hate when people give a big slice, thick like that. It's just, you want to cut it thin. And that way the meat relax more. I know it sounds really strange to say meat relax, but that's the truth. So thank you for having us. It's been fun. Are we done?
Things are coming over. Yeah.
Are you back?
I am back. You guys been having a
Well, I think you guys enjoy it. We did.
That's great.
I honestly want to thank all of you guys for joining us tonight. We have, again, I want to thank Tom with JJ's, Chef Dom for coming and helping prepare this great heart healthy meal. Dr. Jonsson for really just talking about the importance of our heart health, and our DJ Jared for helping broadcast us this evening. And so again, it's really important. We're going to try to keep doing these in the future. So we will be sending out all of the recipes and directions along with Chef Dom's recommendations on how to prepare and the a couple of things that he did change up on there. And then we will be sending out the wine suggestions from Tom. So you guys will all be getting them. So everybody who's registered, those will be coming to you in the mail very soon. I'm guessing you should receive those in the next week or two. So you should see those. Again, if there's any other questions, feel free to send them out onto the chat box. We'll answer them. But again, thank you again for joining us, and thank you guys.
You're welcome.
Honey.
Cheers.
Cheers.
How do you say that in Icelandic?
Again,
Skål.
skål. Skål. Skål.
Oh,
Skål.
Sante.
Thanks again, everybody. Have a good night.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers.